Hello, everyone, and welcome back, Dace here. And today we've got something super special lined up for you. We're going to be discussing some awesome shmup stuff with Trevor, my buddy, Lord Shmup on Twitter, or SurrealRager on YouTube. So yeah, hey Trevor, what's going on today?
Hey, what's up, Dace? How's it going, Shmuptopia?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm actually really excited as the days got closer and closer to this. I was just getting more and more pumped for talking shmup goodness with you, my friend. So, yeah, everyone. Today we're essentially going to be just like the whole idea is having discussions with other shmup fans, just hearing a little bit about like where they're coming from with the genre, some of their highlights, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to be getting into. It's going to be all over the place, I'm sure, because it's such a wicked topic, and everyone has their own unique history and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be good times. So yeah, I'm thinking what my first question, what I'm wondering about is what was the first shmup you ever played, or how were you first exposed to the genre, and like how did that go? What gripped you? Like any of that kind of stuff.
The funny part is, in hindsight, I think one of the earlier shmups, at least that I recall playing with a friend, is Gunbird, and I just recently spoke to that friend, and he said I didn't like it at all. So,
Sweet.
and now I'm playing it now, and I can't get enough of it. So, Gunbird, not like when I was growing up like a kid, like probably like 7, 8 years ago, like on the retro hunt playing Gunbird, probably the sequel actually. That was one of my earlier ones. Um, I'm sure Galaga, in some
Hmm.
respect, whether it be like in a barcade or possibly booting up the NES version. Um, I think that's where it actually started. And then more recently, probably when I started writing for Two Beard Gaming, I think that's probably 2 years ago or so.
Hmm.
First shmup I think I reviewed was Skyforce Anniversary, and that game is awesome on Switch, and that's a great example of a game that was ported from mobile that deserves to be on Switch and not the other way around. Sometimes we get a lot of mobile ports that are terrible.
Hmm.
This is
Yeah.
just a great example of an awesome one. Skyforce Anniversary, I love that game, and Skyforce Reloaded, two great games that actually came from mobile, and couldn't be happier about them. I played that one, and that solidified my top-down shmup favoritism. I know people call them like vertical shmups. I just call them top-down for
Yeah.
some reason. I guess I just started
Yeah,
with
well,
that one
that's
day.
totally fair. Totally fair. It's interesting because I've seen that on the eShop, but I haven't really given it a look. Like there's so many games that I don't always just go in and take a look at what it is, but I have seen it, and now that you've praised it so highly, I'm gonna actually check that out at some point very soon. That
If
sounds
given a
awesome.
choice, I would choose Reloaded over Anniversary.
Hmm.
I booted up Anniversary after getting way, way far into Reloaded, and I found the beginning was a bit off, and I think Reloaded was just more difficult and more interesting and more fun, and especially for a shmupper of your caliber, I think I would start with Reloaded. I think
Cool.
Anniversary might be something you could put aside because it's basically the same game, just more of it, and in a easier dose, which is not always the best when playing shmups.
Yeah, super cool. Okay, so when like just to get more of an idea as to like what it is that grips you, because like a lot of games have shooting, a lot of games have like dodging things. Well, what is it about the overall shmup package in general that just has you loving this genre? Or like yeah, like I think I'm just really curious about that kind of stuff.
Initially, it's definitely the pick up and play aspect,
Hmm.
without a doubt. It doesn't matter if you have 20 minutes to play, 30 minutes to play, or even, maybe even less.
Hmm.
If you're reviewing games, if you're not, if it's like if you're in between anything, you can always have time to pick up a shmup and at least do a run. Now, maybe not with like riding, because those can be like 20 to 30-minute sessions for like one run,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
for most others, like you can just do a level, do a run, and play a shmup and enjoy it. And as long as it has like the needs for me, it's like if the shots are satisfactory, if the explosions are satisfactory, if the movement is fluid, if all those things line up, it's like you can have a quick session and get so much enjoyment out of it that it's unlike anything else. And
Yeah.
that I find that shmups have kind of brought me away from like bigger, longer games because I
Hmm.
could just pick this up right now and play and have a great time.
Yeah, no, I totally hear that. Like I still do play longer games, but the more I get into shmups, the more and more I just want to be getting into shmups. It's amazing just how the genre for myself has just been building up more and more steam over the
Yeah.
last pretty much since Steriden. I think that was my first shmup on Switch, and at that point, I had no idea what shmup even meant. I had no idea it was a genre. I knew nothing about it, but I just loved this game with like the permadeath aspect to it, and just like constantly like, okay, like I know I can do better. I know if I get like these drops, I can just be like powerful enough to just push through to the next boss. And I was just so into it. And after that, I was just on the lookout, and it's only snowballed from there. Like
Yeah.
I'm at this point, I just want to be gobbling up every shmup I can
Same.
possibly track down. Yeah, man. It's
That's
like,
basically it's something. It's funny because like I've been feeding like off of like your hype on games as well. It's like I saw you play Gunbird, and I'm like, you know what? That looks amazing. It looks fun. He's having a great time with it, and I love the visuals. And I thought just
mhm,
from watching you play, it hit all the check marks for me. So I
for
bought it. Like
sure.
I love this, and
Yeah.
right afterwards I bought the flip grip. So that's on the way right now in the post.
Nice. Yeah, I'm so excited for you to get one of those. They're so sweet, and it makes such a huge difference as opposed to having like a top down or vertical on a horizontal Switch screen. Like it's just you might as well have a flip grip.
True. And I have my Switch right here, and
Nice.
I was just taking a look at some games, and Skyforce actually, to revoke that, was not my first shmup to review. It was actually Full Blast, which I
I
thought at the
okay.
time was amazing because it was my first one to play, and I'm like, this is amazing, this is so good. And then I played Skyforce, and I'm like,
Oh
Skyforce
yeah.
actually way up here. Full Blast is
Yeah.
kind of sinking.
Yeah, I was watching your review of Full Blast. I think a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and it looked really really cool. But I know what you mean, like the pacing and stuff. Not that I've played it myself, but it was easy to pick out
Mm.
ways in which it was kind of like, okay, yeah, I can see why this it wouldn't be up there with other ones.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
little bit slower. It's I mean, it was a good shmup to start with, and
mhm,
I'm just moved on and up from there. And another funny thing about you saying you didn't really know what a shmup was,
mhm.
I used to hate that word. I used to loathe it, and I'm like, because my circle of my nerd friends like would call them shmups,
Mhm.
but like my other circle would just call them like what an arcade game or something, or maybe even like a shoot 'em up. So I started calling them shoot 'em ups, but then I kind of didn't like that it had the word shoot in it, and I'm like, it's not really a shooter. I don't call it a shooter, so I'm like, well, it's a shoot 'em up, and I think shmup was just an easier way to say that and kind of categorize it in a way that you know exactly what someone's talking about when you say
Mhm.
shmup, not shooter, not shoot 'em.
Exactly.
Like shooter could mean a whole bunch of different things. Shoot 'em up should be like, yeah, you're kind of getting there, but
Yeah.
shmup is like defined. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and I like that about it, and it kind of just grew on me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Like when I think of the term shooter, I think like first person shooter games like with guns and like all that kind of stuff. And shoot 'em up is kind of like yeah, you can have shmups in there, but I also think about other games that are like maybe platform style, like a run and gun. That's it's kind of blurry there, but shmup is just always a set thing.
Yeah, I think
There's
that
really no confusing that.
true, and I think that's
Yeah.
what's best about it. And then it's kind of a funny word too, so it kind of grew on me. I'm like, all right, well, I'm playing a shmup, and it's you know people that don't really know what that means, they
Hmm.
look at you funny like shmup. What do you mean? And
Yeah.
it's a pretty funny word. I mean, shmup, and actually, I used to spell it way wrong. I think I used to throw a C in there somewhere. Like,
Shmup. Yeah, it's like
I had
more
no idea.
German or something.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, sweet. So one thing, because I know another of your like big titles would be Raiden 5. You've played a ton of that, and I would love to just hear you ramble about that for a little bit and maybe just yeah, share whatever you want or like
Pride,
because
man.
yeah, because it's a game where there's been a lot of negative said about certain things, and yet a lot of people are liking it. I know for myself, I played it once and was like, I'm not really feeling this. And then when I got back into it after you inspired me to like play more, I've been just playing a ton now, and I'm loving it. So
That's so great to hear.
yeah, so let's hear about a little bit about this from you.
Raiden. So it starts on Super Nintendo. I had Raiden Trad, and somewhere in my retro collecting days, I guess it was somewhere then I also kind of had like a knack for shmups, or like I liked them and I sought them out. And Raiden Tread was one I found, and it was on the cheaper side, so I bought it. And that one led me to Raiden 5 or Raiden V. I just call it V for some reason, Raiden V.
Mm-hmm.
And the SNES one has two different kinds of weapons, red and blue, and I thought that was great. It was like, bullet and laser. Then I kind of didn't really get to play any other Raiden game besides I went to Japan and I went to Shmup Heaven. Like I went home. It was sweet.
Oh man.
Arcade full of people playing these bullet hells. The only ones
Mm-hmm.
I knew was like there was like Raiden. There's like 1944, 45. There was a Darius cab that was massive. It was like a two-person huge cab that was like super long screen. And
Crazy.
dude, so cool. And like I played Raiden there, and then I saw that it was coming to consoles with V or 5, and I was like, I got to get this game.
Mm-hmm.
I emailed I think the publisher. I was like, hey, I want to review this game for you, and getting responses back. And then I was on their newsletter. And they're like, hey, this game's coming out, and I responded one more time. I'm like, okay, like I love the Raiden series. I would love to review this for you. And then the next day they're like, here's a code.
Oh man.
So good.
So good.
And then so I just been playing the heck out of that. And I know I said it's like a pick up and play game, but I was playing sessions for that, and it seemed that the longer I played, the longer each session got. And
Yeah.
you know what, I'm at all these racks and racked up of hours, and I love that game, but there in this one there's three different types of weapons. There's red, which I would just call bullets. There's blue, laser, and then purple. I just call plasma. I think it's called plasma in the game,
Okay.
but I always stick with the bullets because that's what I stuck with on Ride and Trad. And
Mm-hmm.
I just love the spreader. It's like it starts with like a simple shot, and then like it widens out each time, and it
Oh
gets
man.
dude, and it's very helpful for weaving in and out of like tight spots, and it's just been a favorite of mine. And at first I was really bad at it. But you know, trial and error, time and time again, new runs, you just keep getting better and better. And I know that a lot of the flack that it gets is, for one, the crazy sidebars, which I'm still like not okay with.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the volume is like wonky. It's like sometimes you can hear just sound effects like clouding your ears. Other times like you hear some vocals for the people talking, and then it's like the music is hidden there in there somewhere. So first of all, the music is messed up, the sound effects is messed up, and you got this crazy coffee bean story going on in the sidebars, and along
Yeah.
with these sidebars is like not only dialogue but a bunch of like options that you can swap through, and it's got hints that you swap through again. It has other options and tells you like your scores and whatnot, and help and all this other stuff. And what's wild is it's such a good looking game, and they have all this wasted retail space with these
Mm-hmm.
sidebars that are essentially useless, and no one
Yeah.
said anything good about them. But it's something that I just dealt with because I thought the game was so good looking. I thought the shots and explosions were very satisfying. The movement was good, and there's three different characters to choose from. So if one's too slow, you can swap a different ship with different stats. One's super fast, one's pretty evened out on
Mm-hmm.
all
Yeah.
areas. And it's wild to look at the leaderboards now. They're
Oh,
pumping
dude.
those numbers up.
Yeah. It's crazy. I think I'm at like 13th place
Dude,
for very hard, but like run after run, like all yesterday, I for the life of me could not beat my score.
dude.
And so it's just like, yeah, it's a bit by bit sort of learning process, and just Oh yeah, there are a lot of factors. But yeah, and that's one of the, just going back to the sidebars, that was one of the main things for me. That was like just a major turnoff. And the voice acting, of course, like every time we talk about Raiden 5, the coffee bean conversation
Dude,
comes up. It
South
was just
American
like,
coffee beans are my favorite.
yeah.
What? What are we?
It's like I don't care. Like, man, like I'm flying a ship and your talk is not appreciated.
He keeps going back to that, and he's like, back to the coffees we're talking about, back to the beans. What's
Yeah.
your family do? What if? Because you don't even have, first of all, you don't even have time to read this dialogue because
Exactly.
it plays and reads down as you're playing. Like no one can read that.
No.
Let alone the options on the left hand side that are somewhat helpful sometimes. There's a few different things going on there. There is a graph. And it
Hmm.
shows like the top 100 score, which is the lowest, and then like the top score, and then your best score. And then while you're playing, another line shows up that says like, "Hey, where are you at?" Like if you're below your best line, like maybe you're
Hmm.
not doing that well. You're not going to get that
Yeah.
high score. And then other times it's like, all right, if you're getting above that or below that, you know.
Yeah.
And what else is on there? There's tips and tricks on there. If you like hit the shoulder button, it'll say, "Hey." It's funny because I shot this your way like when you first started playing. I'm like, hey man, don't kill a tanks right away. Weave back and forth. You hit them once, it'll kill their shot, and then you can go collect, power ups or
Hmm.
get out of type spot, and then go back again and kill them, which is one of the tips it said in the corner, which is kind of helpful. But
Yeah, for sure.
those keep popping up, which is all right. But I'll just hit the pause and then read it. I'm like, okay, maybe this can help me through this spot.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, definitely.
what else is there? There's like that graph, the hints, and then there's some like, when people give you a cheer, which is a weird thing. I can play and you can play, and if I pop up on your screen, like you can hit a button to cheer me on, and it boosts my gauge for my one of my special attacks.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I did my first video, I didn't use that at all. But now it's kind of like just essentially another bomb or another special. It's pretty useful. Excuse me. Uh, I haven't actually figured out how to cheer for others yet because I haven't seen any like indication as to what to press, and I don't want to accidentally use a bomb or something, because they are pretty precious. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot going. I do look at the graph, and I think that's the only time I ever like swap pages.
Mhm.
But it might be worthwhile checking out what else there is. Even though I've played a ton now, like the side information isn't so vital that I really care too much about exploring it yet. But I know most of it is just babble and useless, and I am just amazed with the voice acting specifically. I'm amazed they put this kind of time and energy into having people do these voices, like all these recording sessions and all this stuff. For what reason? Like, I think it would have been so much cooler had they just streamlined things a little more and just put more time and effort into other things as opposed to all this extra fluff that no one seems to care about at all.
Agreed.
Yeah,
You think of
so
all that voiceover work, let alone what they're actually talking about. And if you recall from the first screen, that massive page of
yeah.
story, I read it
That
just to read it, but the first time, but I couldn't tell you what it was or
oh
what it meant
yeah.
at all.
I don't recall. I think I might have skipped it during my first session when I was recording, and then every time after that, I've probably just skipped because it's a shmup. Like I don't like. It's not that I don't care about having story, but when it's this epic saga of like 1,000 pages, like it doesn't matter to me. Like I just want to get into the
Skip, skip,
action. Yeah,
skip.
exactly. So it yeah, when it comes to Raiden V, I don't care about the story. I just want to be in blowing things up and just getting further and further in my runs, and that's about it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Those shots are
uh,
so satisfying in that game, though. I love it. It's every person you blow up is just like boom, boom. The sound
yeah,
effects is there, and it's just so good. I love it. If it didn't have the sidebars, if it didn't
mhm,
have, the crappy story and the messed up volume, that probably would have been a 10 for me. But it's
Hmm.
sitting at a solid 9 right now.
Yeah, nice. So are you still playing or have you come away from it these days? Because I know
um,
you were into it really hard. You like did 120 hours in like 2 days.
I had a run, I think, last week or a week and a half ago when I hit you up about your score. I was like, "Oh, get online." And real quick, that's another thing. You must be online to see the cheer bar and whatever.
Hmm.
And like right now, I'm playing Gunbird primarily.
Yeah.
I keep trying to switch, but I just keep coming back to
Oh
it.
man.
I'm
Oh, I
trying to
hear
save
that.
it. I'm trying to like save it a bit, so when I get the flip grip, it's still it's fresh, but I can't put it down.
Yeah.
As far as shmups go, mostly Gunbird, and I guess I wouldn't really call it a shmup, but you're in a ship. I've been playing Starlink.
Interesting. Okay. I haven't played that one, but I have heard of it and looked into it a little bit. So,
It's
yeah,
pretty cool. Sorry.
cool.
But beyond that, I kind of planned on going through the backlog a bit. I'm about to review. Is it called Hybroxia? Hybroxia?
I think so, yeah.
Mm.
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, that pronunciation is a little off. I think it's Hybroxia or Hybroxia. Habroxia. Hybroxia.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'll be getting that to review shortly, so then I'll swap over to that. But one I think you've already taken care of, I didn't get to watch it yet, is Eero Hero. I wanted to go back and finish my review of
Nice.
that. I have stuff written up for it, but I didn't
Mhm.
I didn't finish it because that one I got for leisure, and it was right between I was reviewing like a lot of games, so it was like, all right, I'm playing for fun, moving on. But that one's
Yeah.
alright. I'm gonna go back to that one and review that one. And I think what else were you when you play stuff that I've already played, it makes me want to go back and play those. Like, um, what else have you been posting? I think you did one for QYO Blaster. I did one playthrough of that. I was sorely disappointed with that one.
I yeah, I yeah, I definitely um that video like I recorded that day one, but I reposted the video on the new Shmup channel just recently. But yeah, like I enjoyed certain things, and I think initially I was like, oh yeah, that was like really cool. But then after the fact, I was like I don't feel like returning to it at all. Like it's just kind of like whatever. So in that sense, yeah, I totally hear where you're coming from with that. But do you want to talk about maybe what you didn't like about that one for a little bit, or
Sure, yeah.
yeah, sweet.
QYO, I did. That was one of the games that I don't think I reviewed it, but I intended to. I think initially, going back to my Cuphead shirt, I
Yeah.
think what appealed to me most is that game looked like how do I say it? Maybe not watered down, but maybe it took influence from Cuphead in the visual
Mhm.
style
Yeah.
and maybe a little bit of like, 90s obscurity as well. But something about that really, really caught my eye, and I thought, wow, someone's trying to take a feather from Cuphead's hat,
Hmm.
and that was enough. So I played it, and I don't think I cared for like the combat or the controls,
Hmm.
and I'm not really like side scrollers are still fun, but I definitely prefer top downs. So it's already off to like a lesser start for me. But I think
Yeah.
I recall the controls being not so good, and I don't think it had satisfactory like hits and explosions with like the enemies. It didn't really make me feel like I was having a good time. So I was like, oh, again, like
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So I
No.
just didn't have a lot of fun with it, and I was like, okay, I think I got to the very last boss and got whooped. So I'm like, I'm not having fun at all. And then once I was playing it, the visual style was less and less appealing as I played on. So I'm like, this is not what I thought it was. It was a classic case of looks good now, then I get it in my
Mhm.
hands and it's a completely different story. So just a big letdown for me personally.
Yeah. It's amazing because you bring up a really neat point that can apply to a lot of shmups. Like it doesn't matter how great it looks, if it doesn't play well and if it doesn't encourage like fun and mixed with challenge and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't matter how awesome it looks. Like there's no reason to play it because it's got to be tight controls. You got to be
Yep.
it's got to have a sweet system that you can get behind in terms of the combat and all that kind of stuff. And if it's mediocre, no one's gonna want to play it. That's just the simple truth of it.
I think I started making. I'm trying to look as I'm talking.
Yeah, no worries.
I think I have somewhere a draft saved of. I was trying to make. I have a certain criteria that I use to help me nail down what I want to talk about for reviews, or I'm trying to actually. It's more so geared toward trying to give it a 1 out of 10 score, because that's what my team does. So I try to stick to that sort of setup, I guess, so I can get through what I want to get through in a way that will give me a score at the end, which is sometimes very difficult. But I started to make one for shmups because I thought, you know what, maybe they could have their own criteria. Like, why not? And one of the criteria was just like shooting satisfaction, like the satisfaction of your shots, like, which is a huge deal for shmups.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't feel like your hits, your shots are good. How was gonna say this? The explosions are nice to look at. These sound effects follows, and it feels like, yes, I got him. If it doesn't feel like that, then it's kind of terrible. There's plenty of games that are like that, and I think Raiden is one that hits that mark, and I think so is like Skyforce. Those are great examples of like satisfactory in shots. You think of any that that hit your like shot satisfactory?
Definitely the one I always mention for like everything is Danmaku Unlimited 3. And I would say the Gunbird games as well. Like I just love, like it's a mix of, yeah, taking an enemy down, but like the sound effects that go with it and the visuals of your shots and just how they look and feel, just that whole package. So yeah, it's interesting because like since these games revolve around shooting, and that is like the main way in which you're going to accomplish anything in the game. Like, yeah, that has to be there. So yeah, like you said, like the satisfaction, if that isn't there, like that pretty much renders the game unplayable, in my opinion. Like, I mean, you can play it, but like it's not going to be something you're going to want to return to.
Trying to think of one. I'm trying to think of one that has like a lesser satisfactory feel shots. I'm looking at Visara Collection, the icon, and I think that may be a candidate for that. I played that briefly, and that was a game that I guess I would put Gunbird in the same category because they're both older games, right? Isn't Visara like a port from the arcade?
I could not even tell you, to be honest.
I think they're both older games, so I kind of threw them in the same package because they also have those sidebars, and they have similar feels, but Gunbird just overlaps that game in every category. So it's kind of got the layout where it's like it wants to do this, it has the sidebars, it has this old certain visual style and look, but the feel's not there, the satisfaction's not there, and the fun's not there.
Yeah. I have the Visara collection on order. I'm really eager to check it out, but unlike everyone else who has played it already, I'm kind of just waiting for whenever that ships.
You watch, you're gonna play it, you're gonna like it, and then I'm gonna be like, all right, I'll give it another chance.
Yeah, I gotta get back into it now. So yeah, just going, well, okay, we gotta continue talking about reviews, but I think another area I really want to touch on is like the genre in general. Where do you see things going? Do you feel like I hear some people saying like, oh yeah, shmups are like dying out, and at the same time, like we're getting all this influx of awesomeness on the Switch, and more people just seem to be lapping these games up. So like, where do you kind of stand with that whole topic?
Man, I don't think shmups are going anywhere anytime soon. I think they're here to stay, and I've seen on more than one occasion people say that it's a how do you say, like, you have to play it and play it and play the genre to get to like it, and it's not like that at all. It's a it's like a bad food that they say you gotta try it 7 times before you actually know if you like it or not. It's not like that. It's a pick up and play game. It's made for short bursts. It's made for people that are busy, or if it's a whole lot of bills in a whole lot of ways. And I think when people write off shmups, you're just you have this library of games that you're just dismissing because you think the genre is just dismissible in a way that like you have no idea what you're talking about, because there are so many different types of shmups, man. There's side scrollers, there's top downs. There's a game, it might be Hybraxia, that's coming out that switches from side scrolling to top down.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Yeah, there's like 3D shmups. Like there's like a whole assortment of different types of shmups, and man, it's sad to see when people don't like them, because they're only gonna get better and better. I hope. Like we got
yeah, totally.
But we just got Raiden V, and I really like that, and whatever else comes out, you'll be covering it. So
Yeah, totally. And that's the exciting thing. Like, I anytime that you've got a new video up, I'm just like, oh, nice. I get to just check this out and share my thoughts. And it's really, the more I get into shmups and connect with more and more people who are also passionate, the more conversations and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just really exciting. And yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I was saying this the other day and a few days ago as well to another person, just how the genre, like, I think a lot of people see bullet hells specifically, they'll see screenshots or like gameplay and they'll be like, how could I ever do that? And they chalk it up as impossible. And because of that initial reaction, they just dismiss the genre entirely. But like part of what I want to be doing is spreading the message that like that's just one part of it. You don't have to challenge yourself just like some other people do to still have fun with these games. And there are so many that are way more approachable than you might think. There are just so many different types that you can just pick up, have a blast with, and not worry about high scores or like beating this insane boss on like the hardest difficulty. Like that's all if you want to pursue it and you're excited to pursue that kind of stuff. So I really want to do my part to dispel the illusion that like these are these impossible games that only so few people can master and play, because there's no reason for people to miss out on a lot of the great ones that are there. And there's so many different like difficulty modes too. Like just put it on to very easy. Like just these games have been around forever, and I feel like they really do deserve more of a spotlight. So yeah.
The fun part about that is there are more difficulty levels than ever. I mean, Raiden V has, I think, was it 7? Gunbird has
something like that.
Gunbird has. Yeah, I'm gonna read Gunbird's off, man. Cause
yeah.
Right here, it's so funny. You already know.
Yeah.
Like, so there are 7 for Gunbird. So from most difficulty, easiest, it goes from 7 to 1. It goes very hard, hard, normal, easy, very easy, child, monkey. So like yeah, you could hit up 7, and I played 7 and I got, I think my second highest score is on very hard, but you could also try level 1 as, you know, monkey difficulty and see how far you get. And the thing about that, you still get to enjoy the visuals, the controls, the feels, the satisfactory of the shots and stuff. You get to see all the power-ups. You get to see where the hidden coins are. You know, the bombs. You get to see where all this stuff is basically laid out. It's like a cheat sheet. It's like, hey, you play this easy mode. Oh, no, you always tend to sway left at this screen, but if you went to the right, you would find that you could uncover this bomb or these coins and like boost your score. Then you start going up in difficulty, start remembering and recalling what you did before, and you just keep getting a better and better score. And that's where the fun comes in. It's like if you have the online leaderboards, which Gunbird doesn't, but it's fun to see your face or your name on the leaderboard.
For sure.
Screenshot that every single time, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. And that's like I was saying, you inspired me because like to get back into Raiden, give it another shot, because you would be posting these pics on Twitter of like constantly going up in the ranks, and I'm thinking like, man, he is loving this game. I've got to see what more there is to it that I clearly missed, or see what I can do. Obviously, helping the situation was my choice to mute the voice acting entirely.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I probably would not be playing that game.
Dude, just crank the sound effects and the music to 100. Turn the whatever they call the talking all the way down. It's so useless, man. Even if you crank it up, how can you? I personally can't sit here and try to like listen to voices, like be intrigued by the dialogue and understand the story, and also like bullet hell. It's like there's no
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
point. There's
There's
no
no way. There's no like unless you want to invest time into mastering that kind of thing, but it really there's no point.
true. And that's the funny part about like bullet hell or anything is I saw in one of your videos you were talking about how sometimes you're not even looking at the bullets
Hmm.
to avoid them. And as soon as you said that, I'm like, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I was like, someone gets it because going along with that idea in Raiden V, you were talking about how it's a certain area where the background is all like red and orange and it's coming
Hmm.
down, it's going downward because you're going up. And then the red bullets are the ones that hurt you. And if you hit you're losing, your shield.
Yeah.
I'm playing that one day, as I did many days, and my wife is sitting
Hmm.
there with me like watching, and she's like, "How are you seeing these? How are you
Yeah.
missing these? How are you dodging these?" I'm like, "I don't know. You get used to it. You'll see them." And then
Yeah.
you're saying like, "Dude, you were like, okay, so the red ones hit you, which you caught on to that very fast. And you're like, but how can I like?" And I was like, "Keep playing, man. Keep playing, because as soon as you just get used to it,
Hmm.
even the background that has like basically the same color as those bullets, like you can dodge them, like you said, basically without looking. It's almost like this just feel like you just got to be in it and playing,
Hmm.
and it's difficult to describe because it's like you're not looking at it, but you're also avoiding it. So I keep my eyes typically like towards the top unless it's getting super
Hmm.
close. Then I'm shifting towards the bottom. And it's so funny that another person put that into words and vocalize them like, yeah, I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I think the reason Raiden V caught me off guard is just because I'm so used to shmups where the enemy fire is essentially like just very like you can just distinguish it anywhere. Like there's
Yep.
really no confusing it. So it really threw me off being in that level specifically where it just blends in so well and it's like well, why did they go this direction with the visuals? Like why not make it more clear? But yeah, just essentially the idea that you kind of once you start getting more and more experienced with this game or that game, you kind of just zone out and you can just not even be looking at your ship, but you'll still be doing like precise weaving because you'll just intuitively know what to do and like how to like what small adjustments to make with the stick to just avoid those deadly situations. So it's really neat.
It's almost like a visual muscle memory where it's like you're
Hmm.
looking up here, but you're focused down here in the same weird way. It's like it's almost like you know the lead in from the bullets. You know like where they're gonna trace from and to. And it's not a ton of shmups do a thing where they take a route and then they like move. Like
Hmm.
like Galaga where eventually they start coming back around. Not a lot do that crazy thing where it throws you off where you can't have that zen.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, so what else? What about upcoming? Like, are there any big shmups that you are excited about that are coming out, or not even necessarily new ones, but like ones you've put off checking out for a while? Because I know I have a big list of ones I'm waiting on, and like
Mhm.
Rolling Gunner, Visara, um, Jamestown is coming to
Oh,
Switch.
I saw that. I think I looked that up because I know the name, but is it on the eShop yet? Like to
I,
even
I don't
look
I don't think it's even in the coming soon section yet.
off.
But a buddy of mine, he's the one that told me about it, and he raves about that one. And so I think it was funny because he mentioned it. He was like, "Oh yeah, it'd be sweet if this like someday came to Switch because it's so good." And then the day after is when they announced that it was going to be coming, and we were just like, "Whoa, no, like so good!"
That's tight. I
Yeah.
think as far as bigger titles, Raiden V was the only one that I can think of that I've felt that way. I'm like, dude, I cannot wait for this one because it's like
Hmm.
$30. It's like a $30 shmup, and
Yeah.
I got super super lucky that UFO Interactive allowed me to review it for him because I was like, dude, I mean, I'll still buy it, but I'm gonna ask them for sure. Like,
Yeah, totally.
so as far as big games go, I don't have one particular in mind. But because of your videos, I've been going into those like $8 titles on the eShop, which I feel like $8 titles are mostly callbacks to like Dreamcast and like possibly arcade. These older titles that were on consoles. It's like City Connection does that a lot. They're a
Yeah.
publisher for games, and then there's a bunch like the Neo Geo titles. Like all those are
Oh
$8.
man.
There's like this all those are in like the same box
Yeah.
because they're all $8 for some reason, all of them. So I've been cherry picking like your coattail. Like I have Gunbird on there, which is not technically a shmup, but it's from the same guys. It's got the Gunbird folks. It's got Marion. And because of you, I bought Gunbird.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I cannot say enough good about Gunbird. It's incredible.
It's only gonna get better as soon as my flip grip gets here.
Yeah, man, totally.
I also put Gunbird 2 on there. Like that's also on my wish list. Like I'm gonna put a ton of money into these. And then beyond that, I just put a few more that I think you have already covered that I may not buy, like the Neo Geo ones, like Blazing Star, 1945, Strikers. I also put here's a fun one cut. Did Caladrius Blaze?
I'd say Caladrius, but however you want to say it.
So it's like that one is it's almost a different type of. Actually, I'll ask you: is that the same type of shmup as like Dan Maku? Because like those ones, I have not played those types of shmups because if it looks like they're more of like the Shikondo style, where it's like an absorbing rather than shooting, and that's not. I don't like that style of shmup. It doesn't give that satisfactory in shooting for me. And from watching your videos, it looks way more bullet hellish, at which you kill it at. And those are the ones I'm like, I don't know if I can get into that, especially because right off the bat, it's like you're not shooting, but more absorbing. Like, but what's your take on that?
Yeah, so the absorbing kind of happens after the fact, and there's still just as much shooting involved, in my opinion. Like, if there's an enemy on screen, the only way it's going to die is if you're shooting it. Now, there are two modes. There's like the spirit mode, and then there's the graze mode. So in spirit mode, what happens is, let's say an enemy has fired something your way. If you kill that enemy, then all of its shots that are still on screen will turn into like these spirits that you can collect, and it like fills up this gauge or whatever. I don't play in that mode. Like that's how I started off, but I've shifted into graze mode, where it doesn't matter if you kill the enemy, their shots will stay on screen until they are off screen or you hit them. So to be honest, it is one of my favorite shmups on Switch. So I encourage you to check it out. If you got into it,
Danmaku?
yeah, number Unlimited 3. I think you would actually really get into it, to be honest. Now, I'm not sure how much it is on the eShop. I was able to find the physical, which Limited Run Games did, and I just happened to find one at a local game store, like
That's cool.
5 minutes from here. So I gobbled that one up instantaneously. But and I wouldn't let the crazy bullet hell deter you either, because again, like different modes, different difficulty modes as well. So it's really worthwhile.
I had that one on my list for a while, but I think it was when there were either less shmups on the shop, or I just didn't have like the discoverability because there's not a shmup category, which I've been hoping that Nintendo
Same
would
here.
just separate it, man. Just separate it. There's enough on there that if you put it there, people will go there and you can see all that is to explore there. All of them. Even the Neo Geos put everything there.
Yeah.
It's like I think it falls under shooter category. I'm like it's
yeah. Well, it's
like,
a start anyway.
yeah, like this isn't like Fortnite, man. I'm not running around shooting. It's a shmup.
Yeah. No, I feel that too. I would love if they did just a shmup category. And the thing is, people who are getting into it aren't necessarily going to want to scope the entire eShop for all these titles. So if they did that, they would probably have an increase in sales
Mhm.
for those games, just because people would have one place where they can just see everything and be like, oh wow, I never would have come across this, but because it's in here where I can see it, I'm gonna buy it now.
Yeah.
So
If they were all there, it would just be that much easier to like cherry pick all these shmups, especially the ones that I overlooked. Like
oh exactly.
it's so easy to just miss them, especially I mean, it's fun when you find them on the great deals page. You're like, oh shoot, this looks great. Like
Yeah.
20, 50, 70% off. Okay. Like
Yeah, it's
sometimes waiting is
easy.
the move.
Yeah. And yeah, it's interesting too because for the longest time I had no idea what like Neo Geo even was. So I wasn't even like I would see some of these games, but I wasn't really paying any attention to them. And but when I got more and more into shmups, then I was like, oh, like they actually have a ton of these like old school shmups. And
Yeah.
when I started checking them out for like in Canadian, it's like 10 or $11 per shmup from like the arcade archives or whatever. They were amazing games, and like I could not get over how I had just not been aware of the treasure trove of these old classics that are just on the Switch, just waiting to be played. So I don't do a ton at once. Like every once in a while, I will get a new one, but bit by bit, I'm working away at getting these arcade archives and all those ones. They're really sweet. Blazing Star and Pulse Star
I
are
just
two.
pulled Blazing Star up.
Oh man, those two are so good.
I was gonna say, I think some of these get a bad rap because, well, that one actually looks pretty good, but I think it's Aero Fighters, or I may have taken it off the list. One of them, yeah, some of these look so bad. Like why would you use this picture? Like fill up the entire screen, which this isn't even what you see. You see something way smaller, and you just like widescreen something and made it look way worse. Like you just show one of these because this actually looks much better
I agree.
than the main photo. It's like you're kind of doing a just because if I saw that, I'd be like, oh, pass, because that looks awful. But another one was even worse. It may have been either the first Aero Strikers or another one of the 1945s. I think it was 1945 2.
Hmm.
Actually, that one might have been the one that actually just looked terrible. I'm like, dude, you guys are bringing these games that I bet are awesome on their original, console or cab or whatever. It's like sometimes I feel like they could do a little bit to help these along. It's
Yeah,
not like this. It couldn't just be a drag and drop thing. So it's like, what if you kind of like made it look a little better because
yeah.
there's a ton of potential there.
I totally agree. There were some, and we might even be talking about the same one, but it was just like some just generic looking street, and it's just like two ships, and it's just like who is gonna want to look at this? But like I do because like I know that you really don't want to be judging based on just like an eShop thumbnail, more or less, like because there are just such good shmups hidden under the surface when you actually give them the chance. Um, but yeah, sometimes like I wonder why they have it set up the way they do, just looking so mediocre,
Mm-hmm.
and it really does nothing to promote the game, except
I
for
got
those who, yeah, except for those who are passionate and or know what it is because they played it way back and they would be excited to now have it on the Switch. So,
I
yeah,
got a, I got a list of shmups here because eventually I'm going to put together an article of all my reviews of shmups. And
nice.
you were just saying like, oh, which can be true for a lot of things, but don't judge the book by its cover.
Hmm.
But I have a great instance of one you definitely should is Ice Cream Surfer.
I have not. I don't think I've played that.
Oh my gosh, it's a side scroller shmup, and it's so bad. You play as like sweets, and you fight vegetables, and the icon on the eShop is so blurry. It's like, oh, it's not supposed to be that pixely. It's very, very blurry because you can
Hmm.
pop the game and it looks way better. And the game is just ridiculous. Like you ride an ice cream cone and you shoot like Captain Broccoli or something like this as the main boss. Like it's
Man, I'm definitely
it's
gonna
tough.
look into that.
It's tough. I don't remember what I gave it, but it was not good.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
man.
actually, I got right here. Oh, I didn't put the score down, but I said the ending has a surprisingly nice cutscene that overshadowed the entire game. Yeah, I
It's
think that was
too
one.
good. That is too good.
Oh man.
Oh man, just to mention something about your reviews, like they are such a treat, man. Seriously, I love them. There's something like you have this way of casually saying things, and yet it's funny to me. Like there was one, it wasn't a shmup per se, but it was just like you were just saying something like, "Oh yeah," and more like Mario references than I can shake a stick at, and you just say it in this like very neutral tone, and it just strikes me like it cracks me up. Yeah, and there have been other times where you just like say these things, and they're really funny to me for whatever reason. So yeah,
Dude,
they're
oh,
always a
yeah.
blast.
I did like a 1 minute review on this 1945 ripoff. Oh man,
Oh, I think I know the one.
it was so bad, dude.
Yeah. And I remember one of the people commenting was just like, yeah, like I got the same game and it was just so
Yeah.
terrible. I played 5 minutes and just shut it off.
Oh man, it's even the gameplay that I captured is just like just weaving.
Yeah.
No move, like nothing difficult, nothing fun, nothing
Yeah,
satisfaction.
no engagement. I looked at that and it was like, oh, how? Like I would not spend $5 on this
My gosh, and
or
what
whatever
was
it was.
like? Yeah, it was like $6 or something like that.
Yeah, it was
What do you
ridiculous.
know? Like, no, what was that game called? Oh my gosh.
That like yeah, that should be like a 50-cent game or something.
Yes. If it was 50 cents, I would have bought it for sure. Maybe even $1, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I bought this stupid game I thought was a shmup just to do it. And it was like a mobile game where it was almost looked like a side scroller, but it was just a collectathon basically. Like
Mhm.
your person's right here and you can hit up and he goes right here. And then you let go and he snaps down and then you can down and does the same thing here and snaps up and you just collect coins. But it looked like a side scrolling shmup. So it was only like $1 or $2. So I'm like, okay, let me just get some
Yeah.
more footage and
Oh, man.
buy something cheap to make a video. And it was just, I didn't even do anything with it yet. But it's when I do, and if I do, you're gonna laugh because it's gonna be
Yeah.
terrible.
I'm excited for that whenever it shows up. Um,
Oh, dude.
so you just touching on the whole gun barrage thing, because you had mentioned that. I that came on, I think, volume 3 of the Psycho collection, like physicals, because those are the versions I went with. And just for those who aren't aware, it's kind of like a mix of shmup and pinball, or no, not pinball. It's like
Arkanoid.
yeah, like you're kind of you're just bouncing something, and a ball is like taking out bricks or whatever it was. I actually really enjoyed it. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Thank you for that. That is fast thinking. So initially, it struck me as like, oh, like this is really strange because I thought like the whole collection would just be like straight up shmups. But the more I played it, the more I was just like, yeah, it's actually neat and refreshing that they have something different thrown into the mix here. Um, and did you say you were going to be reviewing that one, or was it just on a list of like games that you've played or something?
Oh, it's
I
on my
don't.
wish list right now, but it looks real good, especially the colors of the visuals.
Hmm.
It looks fantastic. It looks very vibrant and fun.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like yeah,
Cool.
you're right. It's like a pinball because it's got the um side things. Uh,
Okay. I it's been ages since I checked it out, so I couldn't remember if you just like bounce something with like a platform or if your character has, yeah,
it could depend on
the
the character,
levers.
sure. Have you ever
Yeah.
played Arkanoid though?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that's why. It's like Brick Breaker. Have you played Brick Breaker? It's the same concept. We have a paddle and then just hit a ball up and hit the bricks, and you hit more and more bricks to you hit all the bricks off and
Yeah.
win.
I'm sure I played like something to that degree or like something of that type, but maybe just not those specific ones.
Yeah, it's old school.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh man.
Definitely cool
So,
though.
yeah. In terms of, because I know you don't just do shmup reviews, um, like, is there like a direction you're wanting to take to get more into focusing on just like that kind of stuff, or are you kind of just wanting to keep things where they are, and or like how often do we see reviews from you on shmups? Just that kind of info. Um,
It's kind of at my leisure basically. I don't really have like a schedule. I always have like a lot of plans. I have like on my desktop I have a ton of footage from videos, like including Stared in Binary Stars.
Oh, so good.
So like on my desktop, I have video footage for starters, Steriden. I have more footage for Black Paradox for some reason. I think I had an idea there. I have some for Devil Engine, QYO Blaster. I think a QYO Blaster. Maybe this is just no, I got videos there. QYO Blaster, Visara Collection, and Image Fight, which is on the
Oh,
NES
dude.
online.
Yeah, Image Fight. I have that on
It's good.
Switch. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's really, really old school, but it's pretty cool. The one you mentioned, Devil Engine, that
Oh,
is so good. It
it's
is
so
so
good.
good.
That's probably one of the top tier side scrollers as far as shmups go. It's so good. It's in my review. It's not my review's not out yet, but I'll give you
Mhm.
a little snippet.
Yeah,
I,
sure.
I said that game makes me feel like I'm in back in Japan, like playing a shmup because it's so fast, it's action packed, the shots and visuals are insane. It's
Yeah.
very gripping, it's very intense actually. It's if you actually like games and you're like into it and playing it,
Mhm.
it's a bit intense, man. It's loud, it's fast, it's fun, it's the colors and visuals are crazy. The animations that go on, the
Totally.
work, dude, they're and that was developed in Japan. So it kind of fits the bill of what I'm trying to describe.
Mhm.
It's like I played that and it was kind of shortly after I got back from Japan. Like, this is insane. I feel like I'm back in Japan. This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
good. It's intense. In one word to describe it, it's intense.
It is. It's one of my favorite shmups on Switch. It's one of the best in my opinion, in terms of like a horizontal. Um, yeah, when I played it, I was just immersed for days before touching anything else. And for all the reasons you just said, like the visuals were sweet, sound effects, like just fast action, like just the intensity, the challenge was just crazy. That so many different things to do in that game. And with the DLC Ignition coming out
Oh, is that
sometime
what that
this
is?
year, they're
I thought it was a
adding,
separate game. I wasn't sure.
yeah, they're adding like I think they're essentially doubling what is currently on Devil Engine. So we're getting
Wow.
that many more levels, that many more bosses. Who knows what other extras in terms of challenge modes, or like I think there might even be a third ship we can play with. I'm almost positive there's a third ship now. So I'm really excited about that because it's just such a wicked game already, and they're doubling it. It's just going to be insane.
And if I recall, it had great music too. I had to.
Oh
I
man, the
had to do
music!
it.
The music is so good, and it's really different too because like the first level is just it feels really shmup, and then the second level I think goes into this like saxophone jazz, which out of nowhere is like whoa, like what is this? But it still works and it fits, and every step of the way I just loved that game.
Man,
So
that game makes me sweat, dude.
oh dude, I hear that.
It's yeah, it's hard to like describe it other than just intense. I'm like this game. I guess
it,
yeah, it's definitely hard too, but it's intense. It's
it
just
is.
and the visuals follow, and it's just very gripping. I think it's wild and probably pretty underrated.
Yeah, I think that is definitely one I want to start doing more with, whether it's streaming. Like when the DLC comes out, I'll certainly be covering that. But that's one that I really must start doing more with because it does like it just offers so many unique situations that you aren't going to see in a general shmup. Like for instance, the I forget which stage it is. It might be number 3, but you're like going through this Amazon area, and there's a huge like serpent ship in the background, and it's shooting shots from the background to the
Oh yeah,
foreground,
yeah.
and you've got to anticipate and pay close attention to where that's going to blow up
Mhm.
while you're focusing on the enemies that are in the foreground with you. Like that's
Insane.
just a simple example of like some of the neat things that they've introduced in this game, and like it's just so packed with awesomeness. I love it.
Engine. Who made that? I'm trying to look real quick. It's video game Danjin. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Danjin.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That I lost. I haven't played it for a bit, but that's on Steam. It's got 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
Yeah, it says
man.
Metacritic 72%, which is still pretty good. But I mean, that game, even just looking right now at like pictures like that,
Oh, it looks so gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a very, very good looking game, and I
Yeah,
think it's even when it was probably released or just when I found out about it, it wasn't really getting a lot of attention, and
hmm
I think we should probably like boost that game for them because this is a very good looking game, and maybe when we post more stuff about it, it will get more, it'll grip more people because it's
for
a very
sure.
good looking game. Those colors are, yeah, just looking at a few colors, everything pops. There's a lot of contrast, and doesn't it have cutscenes as well? Am I making that up?
Uh, I don't recall cutscenes, but
Either way, this is one of those games that just by those, like the main pictures, like the main icon, that looks like that could be an anime. It looks so good. Not
oh
the
yeah.
not the in-game shit, like like the animated photo. That
hmm
looks so good to me. That could be part of an anime right there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good.
Yeah. And I had a thought. What was I going to say now? It was in relation to just getting, yeah, like doing what we can to push that game a little more because, yeah, I remember when it first came out, I was in love with it instantaneously, and yet I wasn't seeing a whole lot done. I wasn't hearing too many people saying much about it, but it's just like with where the genre is going, or at least where I feel it's going, this is the kind of stuff I want to be seeing. Like nothing but quality pumped into
Yeah.
an experience. Like this shows just the potential that there is going forward. So I want to see more stuff like this in the future. I want to see more from those devs specifically. Like there's no reason why shmups need to always just be like these, okay, here's like a thing, beat it in 20 minutes or 30 minutes and then you're done, like because like that's not at all what it's about in my opinion. Like some games are like that, sure, but yeah, Devil Engine specifically was just such a rare breed in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Going from Devil Engine and Ryan V, because UFO Entertainment, I'm not sure if they're the developer or the publisher. I think they're developer is Moss. Okay, Moss
hmm
is a Japanese video game company. So
Yeah,
two of the top ones we're talking about coming straight from Shmup Hub,
yeah,
Japan. It's like
totally,
that's not a coincidence. It's like that's where the home of Shmup begins, man. When I
absolutely.
went there, it was just here's me pumping quarters or their dollars actually, pumping
Yeah.
dollars again, and here's everybody else silent, putting no more money in, killing the games, dude. It was embarrassing.
Oh man.
you
Yeah.
have that
Seriously.
caliber of games, and it's like then you get like Ice Cream Surfer and like what else I got here? Oh, have you ever played Mace Space Shooter? Don't.
Man, I remember the thumbnail and
So
I've looked
bad.
at it. I've looked at it with the intention of like, oh yeah, I could like maybe check this out. But then it was like, it doesn't strike me as enough shmup for like what I want to be playing, so I've held off.
I'll save you some time. Watch my 3-minute review, and
Okay.
you'll get all you need to know out of it.
Yeah.
Someone tried to give me a hard time for my review on that. I'm like, oh, is this like the developer or something? Because like I said something like you could just mindlessly weave back and forth
hmm
for a long time on these never-ending stages, and someone said, some people like that. I said, no, they don't. No,
Yeah, maybe if they're like doing something else and
not
playing the
playing.
game is like just a side whatever
Like
in
this, like
one hand or something like
here's me
yeah.
playing Space Shooter.
Yeah, you might
Yeah,
as
just
well be playing Mace Shooter right now.
yeah.
Oh man.
Once you get up to that caliber, when we're talking like Raiden B and Devil Engine, everything else like falls to the wayside. There's stuff that's like up there as well, but like, it's like you get these mobile ports that are just trash, like Mace Space Shooter, or like I really didn't care for Ice Cream Surfer,
hmm
and then it's like you got some smaller ones that go higher that are definitely better, like Hero. That one's good. Not like way up here or way down there, but somewhere up
Sure.
the list. And then it's like, have you ever played? Yeah, you have Mora EX.
Yes, I
Yeah.
have.
That's a good looking game.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of 3D visuals.
hmm
You go underwater, like side scrolling shmup. That's a good game too. It's like That's a shmup game. That's not just like a drag and drop mobile port or this, like you said, 20-minute and you're done game where it's like, is this more of just a waste of time than anything? It's like
Mhm.
I want that higher level of quality, like you're stating. It's like
Yep.
let's get these from here on out, man. It's like
No
then
kidding.
everybody's gotta get into it.
Yeah. And it brings up an interesting point too, because some shmups are designed where like you can't like infinite continues like Shikondo, as much as I really appreciate it, the fact that it's set up in a way where it's like, yeah, you can just have infinite continues and it's impossible to like not beat the game on your first playthrough, regardless of like, well, unless you're playing the mode where it's like you have one hit and that's it, and then you're done. No continues. But like, I like when games like Steriden, for instance, are set up in a way where like you can't just keep continuing. Like if you're gonna beat that game, you have to master it, or you have to find a way. You have to play well enough to beat it. Whereas sometimes they're set up where like you don't have to have any skill and you will beat it your first sit down. Like
Sheridan, man, that's a real good one because that game is. I thought that game was tough, and that's definitely like you better memorize the boss attack patterns and
mhm.
get them right. Otherwise, you won't progress at all because it's like they do this, 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 then this. It's like if you just get stuck on one or two of their forms, then you're not gonna make it beyond, and you can't just like you said, just mosey on through and just whoop the game because that's
Yeah,
got a
exactly.
pretty big um a big tree of like levels for that one.
Mhm.
You killed that. That's your high level game right there.
Yeah.
You got like 100 and
Yeah, I don't recall like what I like how well. I just know that as my first shmup, I think what drew me into it, to be honest, was just the permadeath because I was playing other like rogue inspired games. So I got back from it's interesting because it was on my wish list before Autumn and I did our trip to Nepal, and I totally forgot about the game. I was so pumped about it, but it was like, oh, it comes out like a few days after we leave. No, and I totally forgot about it. So when we got back, I opened up my wish list. I was like, oh yeah, there's that like sweet looking game with permadeath, and I got into it, and I was into it hard, and like I just crushed and crushed and crushed, and I just did not put that game down until I had beaten it. And even then, I was just playing more and more. But there's just something so much more engaging for me as a shmup player when I can't just mosey on through. Like when it's like, that's, you got to be kidding me. That's how far I got through. Like, no, we're gonna do another run. And one thing I love about that game is that when you die, there's like a time, well, not a timeline, but it shows like the bosses you've uncovered, and
yeah.
then the rest are silhouetted. So like you can see the huge size of like the final boss, and you're just like, what is that even gonna look like when I get there for the first time? And like
Yeah.
I think they just did that in such a great way, just to like kind of like inspire or intrigue you that much more. It's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
like you can see it, but you can't see it at
Yeah,
the
it's
same
pretty
time. You got,
motivational. Yeah.
yeah,
That's what I was
absolutely.
thinking of. It's like a bracket almost. It's just like here's this boss and this
Yeah,
boss and this boss. And
exactly.
yeah, I pulled up yours. I thought you had like 100. It says you have like 55. I miscalculated. I thought you had like way more, but that's still a lot of time, especially
That
for
is,
55 hours. That's a lot.
yeah. I think,
Kill that game too.
oh, thanks. It's yeah, it was definitely not that it was the first shmup that I ever played. I would say it's probably the second because the first was like way back in the 90s when I had no idea. It was Solar Striker on Game Boy, and at the time, like
Like
it's
game.
not. Yeah, I did a video for it, which will be like the day one of October.
Okay.
Yeah, that. So I'm really excited to share, and I get into the details of like my thoughts at that time and like just the whole history of like how that was my first exposure to the genre. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
What's it called again?
Solar Striker.
Let's see real quick. Solar Striker. I'm gonna definitely watch your video, but
Yeah.
Shmup on well, I think I only know of like a couple I can think of. Like I think there is an R type
Hmm.
on Game Boy. I didn't. I think I had it. Yeah, I bought the. It's a black cart, and what else is there? I know there's an R type. I had that, but I'm like, it's so funny to think of Shmups being on Game Boy, but it's
Oh,
also like
dude.
perfect.
Yeah, it's way old. It was like 1990 that one came out, and at the time, like it's not that I even viewed things in terms of genre at that point. It was just like, okay, this is a game where you shoot with a little ship and like whatever. But now, like years later, getting back into the
That's so
genre with Steriden on Switch, which is so many years later, it's just like, wow, I actually did play a shmup so long ago, and it's just kind of neat, like cluing into that so long after the fact.
true. It does look cool too. How'd you play that or capture footage?
Well, my friend Card Dreamer, you maybe have seen him on Twitter, or he has his D-Class YouTube channel as well. Really close friend of mine. He got Autumn and I a SNES Mini for Christmas last year, shipped it out and everything, and he put like 400 games on it or whatever.
Sweet.
And so just the other night, I was thinking, like, man, with this whole shmup thing happening more and more, and me wanting to do more, let's get some more shmups onto the SNES Mini. So it's just as simple as throwing on, yeah, the files, and boom.
Dude, I have the NES and the SNES, and I just contacted my cousin. I'm like, dude, you got to help me out because I want some more games on here because um I don't have a lot of those cards. I've gotten rid of most of mine.
Hmm.
I'm like, if I could just have like shmups on there, and now that you say like you can put Game Boy games on
Oh,
there, like
dude,
I want to
you
get this game on there, and
you can do so many things. Like I think I have the entire NES and SNES library. Just pretty much whatever you want.
that's sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, what I can do, I think he did mention the other night when we were chatting that like at the time in which he did this for us, it was that much more of a process, but it's been streamlined to such a simple degree after the fact. So yeah, I can mention that if you want some tips or any help with that.
For sure.
But yeah, well, yeah, I yeah, like I feel like we could just keep talking, and maybe we even will continue after the recording. But I think in terms of keeping the recorded portion a little on the lower side, we'll probably stop it there because we're
Yeah.
over an hour already.
Otherwise, just go all day.
Yeah, totally. And it will literally just be like babble about shmups in
Yeah.
general and not like a more focused thing, which I know we've been off topic for the longest time, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, so I think we will just wrap things up there, everybody. I want to thank Trevor for his time. Really appreciate that, man. I'm going
Yeah.
to, what my idea is giving you like a $10 code for the eShop or whatever. Just
So kind,
to
man. Too
to
kind.
thank you, just to thank you for doing this because yeah, it's not everyone would do this sort of thing, and I'm really stoked that yeah, we just hit it off and have been getting to know each other, and you were so down with this idea, and I just really appreciate you. So
Thanks for
we'll
having me
we'll
on, man. That
figure
was fun.
those. Yeah, man, and I definitely it's whether we're doing recordings or not, I think it would be sweet to just touch base like this from time to time because yeah, I'm just having a blast with you today. So
Yeah,
uh,
I talk to you like almost daily, it feels like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
finally
exactly.
cool, put a face to me to
Yeah, exactly, man. It's great. So yeah, everybody. With that being said, thank you so much for checking this out. It's been a blast, and stay tuned for the rest of the month because there's going to be content every day, whether it's streams or videos or you name it. It's going to be an epic month. So yeah, thanks, Trevor. I will be sure to leave your YouTube and your Twitter and all that stuff in the description of this video. And yeah, that's going to be it, peeps. You have an awesome day, and we'll see you next time.